were engaged in the Vietnam War. Like, how come my parents never told me about it, you know? And then I called my dad up when I was in college, and he was like, yeah, we were engaged in the war, didn't you know? I was like, Dad, you never told me. He was like, well, you never asked. And I think that was a way for my parents not to talk about the war. I saw that, you know, while growing up in poverty, I came back to a community that didn't change, right? That the Hmong community was still living in extreme poverty. Our education rates were still low. And I was coming back as a young professional, as an educated young Hmong professional, and nothing was changing. And I think I became really frustrated with that and trying to figure out how I can begin to move the Hmong community, particularly in Sacramento, because that's where I grew up. And I'm involved with a young organization, grassroots organization called HIP, which stands for Hmong Innovating Politics. And HIP was established in 2012, during the 2012 elections, to begin to build an infrastructure to help the Hmong community navigate the political system so that they can engage in the political process. Even though we've been here for 40 years, I feel like, you know, policymakers and folks in power haven't really given our community the opportunities to survive and thrive. You know, I think in a lot of times the reason why, this is what I always tell the community, is that oftentimes policy decisions are made for us and they're never made by us, right? And so when you have people who don't understand the struggle, right, the lived experiences of low-income communities of color, of Southeast Asian refugee populations, they won't be making the decision that's gonna be helpful to our communities, right? So it's like, one, not just voting, but like, how do you actually engage communities in spaces where those decisions are being made, right? And I think for HIP, that's what we're also trying to do. HIP is actually, we're starting a campaign as well, which is called Project SUAB. And Project SUAB is Project Voice. So how do we amplify? How do we make our voice heard, right? By one, registering to vote, but that means that you have to understand the system. You actually have to know how to fill out the form. Or now that we have voter registration online, you know, if you have access to an iPad or a computer, then you can do that online. So one of HIP's main goal is to really register the Hmong community in the Sacramento region. And then the second is to like be informed, right? To be informed about the ballots, who are the electeds that are running, where do they stand in terms of issue on education, housing, health, and then three, to turn out and vote, right? To have a community conversations about who are the elected officials, which ballot will make an impact on our communities, and how should we vote. We are a people with rich history, rich culture. I would also tell them that the Hmong community, while you know we may have our different struggles, that we're very similar in a lot of ways in the things we want for our families and our communities. Having a healthy family, right? Having access to good jobs, right? Having a good quality education, not having to worry about being in debt. Like, these are the things that Hmong communities also want, right? And so there's a shared struggle, you know, there's a shared experience. And I guess that's also part of being an American, right? Is that the fabric of diversity, but that we're not a melting pot, but we're an amazing salad, a rich salad of distinct experiences and struggle, but that we're all really united, and that we want the same thing for our families and our communities. The Hmong community is really hungry to shape government, right? The fact that this is now our home, like the US, California is our home. We want to be part of that process, and we want to shape government because we care about our family, we care about our communities, and we want the best outcomes for our people.